Hello, today we shall look into the articles about the Hindu 29th August 2022. The articles that are related to different papers like we shall right now deal with those articles that fall under GS2 polity, governance, international relations as such. So here you can see international relation article over here. India refers to Taiwan strait militarization. Taiwan is a part of China as per China, but as per the views of different countries, Taiwan may or may not be included into the China. As per China's one China principle, it wanted Taiwan also to be under its control, but Taiwan has declared itself to be independent, and it's not at all related to the Chinese policies as such. So the recent controversy has taken place due to the arrival of US Secretariat or some US related what we call him diplomat, US diplomat who came to Taiwan for a visit. So this has grew tensions between Taiwan and China. China once again wanted to assert its sovereignty and also the capture of the territory of the Taiwan, whereas Taiwan wanted to keep itself away from China's policy. But the US has visited Taiwan because you can see Taiwan is strategically located where let's see where Taiwan is located. You see Taiwan, China, and the images. You see, this is the small island which is called as Taiwan, and the big massive China over it there you can see. So this is under the Indian Ocean. Okay, I mean Indian Ocean region, and of course it falls under the region of Philippines, South China Sea. It's quite above South China Sea, Pacific Ocean. This whole part is called Pacific Ocean, and just up above the Indian Ocean. So I mean, the US wanted to have the sovereignty over this region, Indian Ocean region. So to assert that sovereignty, it has visited Taiwan so that to provoke what China can do as such. So to assert the freedom of navigation of seas, free and open Indo-Pacific region, free and open Indo-Pacific region, Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean region, that conjunction part, Indo-Pacific region. So here you can get across three types of terminologies like strategic ambiguity, strategic clarity, and studied silence. You mean China capture of the Taiwan, or the same case goes with Hong Kong and some other small territories where always China wanted to assert its sovereignty, I mean assert its supreme power over these small islands, but these islands themselves wanted to be declared as independent. However, India hasn't recognized anything as such. Like in 2018 was the last time when India said that we go or we abide or we agree with the one China principle policy, wherein all different territories fall into the grip of China itself. But after then, China has not been supported by India. So the situation prevails the same even today. So we can say this as a studied silence of maintaining the studied silence maintained by India over this China, Taiwan, and US conflict, whereas US is having this strategic ambiguity with I mean never it has neither supported the China's one China principle, nor it has refused it. It didn't talk anything about that. So the observers or the other countries can't understand the US actual intention towards the China Taiwan issue. But it seemingly appears that US is provoking China, and it wanted to enter into Taiwan so as to navigate freely in the Indo-Pacific Ocean region, and also to confront China that the China which is like transcending its borders. Fine. So that's one article, and this falls under GS2 and in the international relations section. And one more article is there, data protection bill. This is quite related with respect to the different privacy issues, fundamental rights and freedom of speech expression as such. This all is related to data protection bill, likely to be in budget session. The same is also present in the editorial section also. So we will be discussing that in the editorial part. So nothing more over here. And the article, the whole page highlights about this Twin Towers blast in Noida, because the Supreme Court has ordered the demolition of those buildings because they are lacking the fundamental regulations to be followed. And this is all about quite political news. There is nothing more that is relevant to the UPSC exam. And let's just delve more into this to discuss on. Okay, Kaziranga Wildlife Rehab Center. This comes under 3, paper 3. We shall discuss over there. And POXO is a Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. So that's okay. And yeah, this is quite common subject, so I wanted to go deep into this. And yeah, this one also is Japan's continuing struggle with the gender parity. You see, every year there will be this global gender gap index report that will be released. So here this acts as a case study for India, because Japan is quite well developed country, as we all know about it. The work culture, the ethics they follow with respect to the work they do, and they are something can be easily called as workaholics, unlike any other country. And Japan is such an isolated piece of land that got massively exploded in the 1945-46 atomic bomb attacks were twice, and then on it has rebuilt itself and recirculated to the verge, from the verge of extinction today into the third largest economy in the world globally, followed by Germany, UK. So the top 5 countries that are world largest economies are USA, China, Japan, Germany, UK, and India is the 6th largest economy. India tends to get into the 5th position by 2025, this is, or 2047 as such. So by the time of 2047, India will be reaching the status of developed nation from being the developing country. So yes, what we have to learn from Japan. Japan is such a small territory, but it has a good work culture and it is quite very developed. But there are glaring disparities with respect to the gender issues. The parameter of gender, which plays a very crucial role for the upcoming progress in the further years of any country, but such parameter, such vital crucial parameter is being neglected for centuries together in Japan. That's not intentional, but that's part of their culture, wherein a woman is confined to the home for domestic activities, and her primary duty is concerned with taking care of children, upbringing of them, and helping her husband with all the domestic for the day-to-day life maintenance. Whereas the gender of male is quite traumatic, to be frank, because they won't be enjoying any type of holidaying as such. The work culture is as such, wherein they tediously work very hard, they toil very hard, even in the weekends also they work a lot, and their primary duty is always with respect to the salary earning salary earning capacity, and mother is confined only to such daily maintenance of course, but not every family is blessed to have a mother and a father as such, so male female couples as such. So if in case if there are any females who started their careers, by the time they get married and then pregnant, they are forced to leave the workforce, so they simply get confined for the health issues and all. They just stay at home, so they take care of the baby, and again they want to restart their career, but now they are not provided better opportunities, because they will be called as lacking skills, because they have got some career gap, so they can't start or they can't just get motivated to restart their career, or even if they tend to get into some good career, they just end up getting into the mother track career paths. So basically this is called as a mother track career paths. So the gender disparity is a mummy track career path. Okay, so there is no progression, there is no promotion, and even there is a huge gender wage gap, wherein for 100 rupees equivalent of work done by a man, a woman gets 57 rupees itself. So such a glaring gender disparity is there. So to stop such gender bias, our former Japan's ex-president Shinzo Abe has come up with an economic reform called as womenomics, wherein he says we need to leverage the women for economic or political in both economic and political sphere. For suppose in politically also there is not much representation for women. The number of women representatives in the parliament itself is very less, which is quite less than the average women representation among the G7 countries itself. So such mistakes must not be repeated, because of this the women population are very glaringly neglected, so that doesn't lead to the progression of the nation, so they end up confined in the homes, and so the people as they are not unable to find careers after marriage and such tasks, so they are preferring to not get married, and this has shown serious impact with respect to the country's fertility rate, and the next generations are not there. I mean, unlike India's young population, the developed country Japan is getting ended as an older nation where there is no population or reproduction taking place. So such mistakes shouldn't be happening. Anyhow, so yes, that is the case study which we can use over here. So gender gap, such strong gender roles which are carried from traditions, like woman means confined to home, and a man means a salary bread earner in the family. Such type of stereotyping of gender roles is to be avoided. Even we must encourage women participation in the labor force, so that they can prove their worth, and they are quite interested. That even helps our economy to get ahead. That's it. And what else in this and this falls under the content of social justice. Anyhow, yes, this is about criticizing CGI's work. And freebies, this is about freebies. So freebies are usually like this again falls under GS2, under the section of elections, electoral constitutional bodies. So we can say about Election Commission of India as such, and Representation of People's Act separately. It is mentioned in the syllabus, the word like Representation of People's Act 1950-1951. So what this article basically talks about is that usually any political party tends to tends to promise different schemes or populistic schemes, so that they can gain that power of authority. But this is leading such a debacle wherein we can see in Andhra Pradesh right now, where The political manifesto is a lot of monetary benefits or transfer payments to different communities in the society. So this is leading to the wastage of hard-earned people's money paid as a tax, which are not quite utilized in the form of investment expenditure, but rather it is like revenue expenditure, so there won't be any returns, they are just simply spent off, and this in turn leads to the high rates of the provisions. So that is not going to be good. It may give some temporary benefit to the people that they are getting free money, but that won't be quite good in the future, wherein the essential commodities or whatever the commodities, because everyone is having money in their hands, the goods production is less because there is no industry or factory production in the state. There is so not that type of industry readiness in the state. It is more like agricultural dependent, and we need to import. For that we need to pay, even if in case of any foreign goods also, if we are to import, then that leads to the reduction of our forex resources. So yes, any nation should not be giving so many transfer payments. It is quite relevant, or we can just resemble it with the proverb like teach how to fish rather than giving the fish directly. So that type of schemes which help the public to upskill their to increase their skills would be quite good than mere distributing the money. So this trend of distributing freebies has started in Tamil Nadu politics, wherein Jayalalitha's time, color TVs, many as such were declared, and their main intention was to grab the power rather than to really intentionally spend it on for public welfare or people's welfare. So the money which is taken out of consolidated fund of India is directed towards spending on public welfare, in terms of public welfare, but not actually in the true sense. But there is a counter argument that, for suppose if you are giving any accessory like shaving kit to all the families, then that may be a freebie for someone, but for some middle class family, but the very entity becomes a livelihood for certain communities of BCA caste. So we can't just simply segregate that every good we are giving as freebie just comes as freebie itself. It may become a entity of welfare for some other communities. So it is very hard and a thin line to segregate between freebies and welfare. And so but we shouldn't be leaving it this situation like this. We need to take care. So yes, the Supreme Court has formed a bench, constitutional bench of 3 judges, wherein they are about to just caution the parliament to make any law. But it is quite difficult because parliament means consisting of the MPs from different various political parties, so they won't be making any law against themselves of not giving freebies, because then they won't be able to capture the power of authority. So yes, this is quite difficult situation. However, the Election Commission of India, which should be acting as a regulator rather than a mere Trojan horse of the executive, it must be separated from the executive. It must act independently and must frame a good framework or must come up with a good guidelines, like in Model Code of Conduct, or even amending the Representation of People's Act 1950 1951, and defining what actually falls under freebies, and how the state revenue is to be protected from getting wasted in forms of transfer payments, and what sort of sections of society or people can be given welfare oriented entities rather than the mere freebies as such. So that is to be taken care of, and that is mentioned in this article. And anything more? Even this falls under IT rules and regulations. The government wanted to interfere in the Twitter's data server policy, data protection, wherein it is like a ploy by the government to get hold of the data of different users, for which Twitter hasn't agreed so far. So So that is a disputed area that is taking place at in debate. So we have to see forward what will be taking place. And anything else? Yes. Revisiting the S. Subramanian Balaji versus Tamil Nadu judgment. This article again falls into the GS2, wherein we have been aware about the Puttaswamy judgment, which has mentioned Article 21 as a fundamental right, and it's not in the literary sense of right to life and liberty, but it has many inferred rights within it. And government has formed a constituted a B.M. Sri Krishna committee to support the to suggest any data protection framework So personal data protection bill has been introduced by the or suggested by the B.N. Sri Krishna committee, but the provisions within that personal data protection bill were not acceptable for the public, because in that there were some excuses, like in the garb of public order the government can get hold of users data and it might not have the permission of that particular users. So that again goes to the breaching of the fundamental right, like right to their privacy, or what sort of information is to be uploaded. So this data protection bill has been rolled back, and the Digital India Act is replacing the IT Act 2000 soon, wherein we have this single case section 60 such provisions are there. So soon this IT Act 2000 is going to be replaced with the name called Digital India Act. So anything else over here? India, China or allies of Vietnam. Vietnam is a land that is quite extended to the far east of China, and of course in the movie also it has been mentioned that Sri Krishna is a power that is spread from the Arabics to the Vietnam region. So yes, it is done for now. So representation of People's Act. So with respect to freebies itself, we can say principles of socialistic philanthropy or electoral bribe. Principles of eccentric socialistic philanthropy. Philanthropy means donation. Socialistic philanthropy means donations to the poor, vulnerable or oppressed people, whereas eccentric means it is the philanthropy that is taking place in a very strange or unusual or abnormal way, which is more than required or which is unnecessary and can't be avoided. As such, it can be stated, the freebies can be stated as eccentric principles of socialistic philanthropy. So this is about international relations, which we have seen earlier. Anything more over here?